I look back, I'm like,
Yep.
I just feel like I'm failing as a father, or
Yep.
I'm dropping the ball as a husband. If I truly love you, loving you isn't going to just
Yep.
be,
Yep.
hey, you know what,
You're the
you're
best.
the best.
Yep.
It's all okay. You just fine. No, I'm going to tell you the truth.
I know one thing I've learned is that the best way to be a leader is to serve.
No. You're simply building your credibility
Yep.
by operating that way. That's not leading. Like, leading is a contact sport. Leadership requires action. You're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. 4 days after the national championship game, I'm at home, working down in our basement and reflecting, and felt empty. I'm like, but why? I knew I wanted to do something that impacted young people's lives. Shame on us if we're timid or meek about talking about the things that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
We all know this, Brian. Winning football games at the highest level of college football is really important. And to be honest with you, Brian, something that, God has challenged me with is the days that it's felt like a burden. He's been like, David, you prayed for this burden.
Yeah.
Be grateful for this burden. You prayed for this opportunity.
What role has Kristen played from your growth as a leader?
She's a badass. She started her own company. She continues to run that company to this day while being a wonderful mother to our 3 kids. She's always got my back. My biggest challenge is...
Man, this is awesome. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. Beyond the Bottom Line, presented by Buku, with the coach of Chicagoland's Big Ten football team, Coach Braun, Northwestern. Coach, I'm going to brag on you just a little bit. This is just a little bit of what Coach has done. 2023 Big Ten Coach of the Year. The first Northwestern coach to secure 2 bowl bids in your first 3 seasons. You're 2-0 in bowl games, and you've coached 28 all Big Ten selections. So I really appreciate you being here.
Brian, thank you.
But what I appreciate most is our friendship. And I've become a Wildcats fan, and I'm looking forward to this season and the greatness that comes with it. But where I'd like to start with this is that if you can just give us a snapshot into where you were brought up, your family structure, and kind of like how you got here.
Yeah, no. I mean, short answer is by the grace of God. But there's a really cool story that ties into all this. But I'll start at the beginning. I was born in Lake Forest Hospital, and
that's where my kids are born.
Yeah, and we were in the Gurney area until I was in 2nd grade. First football game was at Soldier Field with Dad. Mike Ditka's still on the sidelines, and first baseball game I remember vividly going down to Wrigley with my dad, and Ryan Sandberg and Joe Girardi and Mark Grace and Sean Dunston, all those guys.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and 2nd grade we move up to Wisconsin, Wales, Wisconsin, just about a half an hour west of Milwaukee. Home that we moved into. My parents are still in to this day. We'll run up there this weekend after practice to celebrate my niece's birthday, and the full circle journey to get back to Northwestern, was an absolute dream come true for me and Kristen and our family back in January of 2023. But I grew up being an avid sports fan of anything, any ball I could get my hands on, anything that involved competition. Was fortunate to get a partial scholarship to go to Winona State and play football at Winona State, coached by Tom Sawyer and Matt Entz and Brian Curtin, and ultimately my high school coaches, my college coaches. Brian Hiller recruited me up to Winona State.
What position did you play?
Played defensive end, and. But Brian and his son Brock were out at practice on Saturday, and ultimately, that led me to, I knew I wanted to do something that impacted young people's lives, and I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but it's guys like Tom Sawyer, Matt Entz, and Brian Hiller and Brian Curtin that showed me that the power, and not the power, but the influence and the significant positive impact you can have on a young person's life through the game of football. And so started off my career GAing at Winona State, This crazy profession has taken my wife and I all over the country. 3 kids later, we have a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, our oldest Lucas, who's 10, Andrew, who's 9, and our little surprise, our little girl, who's 2.5.
You're in the thick of it.
We're in the thick of it, and we're having a lot of fun, Brian.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
but
hear you.
but full circle to be back here at Northwestern truly has been a dream come true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love just stories of people who have, they've done what they needed to do what they wanted to do. And, you did not have someone did not pave just a really smooth path just to get here. You've kind of been all over the place, North Dakota. You've had all kinds of jobs. And I just love watching people rise.
Thank you.
And watching them succeed. I mean, this is Masters Week. That's why I'm wearing my green, which is if you're a golfer, just any human, I think there's something to the Masters, whether you're a golfer or not.
No doubt.
But I will definitely be crying at about 6 p.m. Because somebody will realize their dreams. And just watching the NCAA basketball tournament, and I don't even know if I could really tell you where that comes from, but I love watching other people succeed.
I'm gonna bring a little light into your life. It's the rechargeable camping lantern. This is perfect for any hangout. The built-in string lights will extend 30 feet. Whatever your vibe, the lights can change to fit any scene you're creating. Your logo will look amazing on this, so just contact us for decoration options. But wait, did you know that with every order, we give 100% of our profits to literacy initiatives across the United States? So when you buy from Buku Branded, you're helping a child read. Once again, it's Buku Branded, www.bukubranded.com.
We're going to dive into first section of questions, just really about leadership. When did you first realize you were a leader?
For me, it was probably in high school, and and again, the power of sport for young people and an opportunity to be in that arena and have positive influence on your teammates. And as all of us on our journey, we're figuring it out as we go, and we're making mistakes along the way. But those high school years were certainly formative, and I think it was my junior year of college football where I realized that God had gifted me with a skill set that, as long as I was a great steward of that skill set and intentional about it, I had an opportunity to be effective in leadership roles. And those last 2 years at Winona State, I'm not saying I was perfect, but I grew as a leader a ton and felt like the success that we had as a team was because not just me, it was the coaching staff, it was the group of leaders we had on that team. And, stepping into that, understanding my limitations, trying to work on those. But those last 2 years at Winona State started to get a sense that it was something that, I enjoyed having an opportunity to lead a group of people.
Yeah. What do you think you enjoy most about being a leader?
It's funny you say this, and this may sound like a cop-out, but, to your point, I love watching others succeed. In a leadership role, you have an opportunity to speak truth into people and encourage and motivate and, stick a hand out when they need a hand to be lifted up, and playing a role in that from a leadership role and see others succeed and chase down their dreams. We talk a lot about, as a team here at Northwestern, about you can tell the character of a team about the way that they celebrate their teammates' success.
Yeah.
A young man that gets more excited about his teammates' success than his own, like that you have something tangible that's really special in terms of the fabric of a team.
Yeah. Well, when you say that, like makes me think of my 11-year-old son Ziggy, who loves playing hockey, and he's got a little talent. We'll see, but this year he stepped up and to the next level and made the higher team, and it was clear he was going to now be a small fish in a big pond.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really appreciate about him is that how he celebrates other people. And to be honest with you, if he never played 1 second in college and beyond, really sports is a vehicle to grow people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not teaching football, we're teaching people football.
Amen.
And that's what matters to me as a dad, is seeing that. So, to what you were just saying, I've heard you say or talk about getting people to believe in something that many, many people don't think is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I feel like I live my life that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to do something great, there's gonna be a lot of people thinking like you're bananas.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about that and how you deal with that. I'm sure it's motivating.
Yeah, as a competitor like that, those are the opportunities you want to be thrust into. But I'm stealing this from Dabo Sweeney, but Dabo is famous for saying, "I'm not an overachiever, I'm an overbeliever."
Yeah,
And it starts off
overbelieving.
with,
Yes, I love that.
It starts with belief, and that has been the things that have motivated me over the course of the last few years. Being so fortunate to step into this role as head coach at Northwestern. But, if we're just honest with ourselves, there's so much about Northwestern football, this program, this institution, that we should be really proud of.
Yes.
And we have a ton of reverence for what has come before us.
Yep.
And in this new landscape of college athletics and college football and a new Big Ten, there's no one out there talking about the Cats winning a Big Ten championship right now. And how do you instill a level of belief within the program, within our players, within our coaching staff, within our support staff that, no, this is the mission that we're on.
Yeah.
We're on a mission to win Big Ten championships. Now, those can't be hollow, empty words. There needs to be processes in place and standards in place and, a work ethic in place that aligns with that. But as a competitor, when you are so fortunate to coach this incredible group of young men and work with incredible coaches, incredible people, and have an athletic director like Mark Jackson, and that momentum starts to build, shame on us if we're timid or meek about talking about the things that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of work to do, but as a competitor, I think that's something, and as a leader, I've embraced that underdog mentality my whole life, and that's something that the Cats are at their best as an underdog as well.
Would you go as far as to say you might have a chip on your shoulder?
You know what?
Because I'll be honest, I think in the most positive, I got a few chips on my shoulder.
Yeah.
It almost started with my older brother.
Yeah.
Honestly, but in the most positive way, would you call it that, or would you call it something else?
You know what? I talk with our team all the time, Brian, about, and you study our program and teams that have been most successful. It has been the blue collar teams, the underdogs, the guys with the chip on their shoulder. And if I'm being really honest with you personally, I don't know if I've really ever had a chip on my shoulder, but I think at times I have been not at times, I've always been unrelenting in settling for, I'm a dreamer, and I want to chase down those dreams, and I want to pray boldly, and I want to live boldly, and I want to be a doer of hard things.
Yes.
And thank God for my wife, Kristen. I mean, the ultimate partner in life that, the things that I've been fortunate enough to accomplish, professionally, those are things that Kristen and I and our family have accomplished together.
Amen.
But some of the things I'm most proud of are the things that Kristen and I have accomplished off the field.
Amen.
As parents and as friends, and but maybe not chip on the shoulder, but
you got something to prove.
Something to prove.
Yep.
Perfectly stated.
Yep. So who are some leaders that you look up to and why?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to be around so many incredible people, but I have to start off with Tom Sawyer, my college head coach at Winona State. Tom taught me so many life lessons. An amazing leader, draws people together. But what I learned from playing for Tom is Tom truly was in it. Yeah, he's a competitor and he wanted to win, but he was coaching college football to have a positive impact on young men's lives, and he talk about leaving a legacy. And me and my teammates, Brendan Meaney, Luke Lokenk, we still talk about Taz Landry, who was at practice last night. We talk about that to this day. And then the other guy that is someone that I've leaned on, since I was 17 years old, who coached me at Winona State, and I had a chance to work for him at North Dakota State, Matt Ensign. Matt, I've learned so much from Matt, and Matt's personality so different than mine, but still very connection, relationship driven. But Matt has a saying he likes to tap into, and he talks a lot about do right, fear no one. And one thing I learned about observing and building, which one time was a coach to player relationship to, he'll always be coach to me, but he's now become a friend and a mentor. He lives by that. And I've learned so much from observing Matt over the years, through the good times, through the bad. But when you're doing it right, you have nothing to fear.
Yep. Amen to that. Love that. So as a coach and a leader, how has your bottom line changed over the years from your early coaching to today?
I don't know if it has ever changed in terms of, I thought I was going to be a high school social studies teacher coaching high school football. I knew that I wanted to get into college because it was still this incredible opportunity to have positive impact on young people's lives. And, I've tried to, that's always been my bottom line. And the reality is the changing landscape of what we're in now.
Yeah, you wouldn't say it's any different today than it was 3 years ago, would you?
It's
It's a whole new ball game.
It's flipped on its head, and it's
Yeah.
changing by the minute. And if I'm being honest, it's become more and more difficult to stay true to that.
Yeah.
And something that, we've worked through, I've worked through personally, I've had to reflect on a lot, is we all know this, Brian, winning football games at the highest level of college football is really important. And we better have things in place that are pushing us towards winning at a level that is, something special to strive for. But one thing we talk about as a program is our non-negotiables.
Yep.
And in a chaotic environment, especially, about a year and a half ago, as this house settlement stuff's coming down and college football slipped on its head. In chaos, there's opportunity. And that opportunity was for us to clearly define our non-negotiables as a program. And it's a different way of saying, what is our bottom line?
Yep.
And what is the priority? Because not everything can be a priority. And what we talk about a lot is, yes, winning is important, but we are unwilling to sacrifice these non-negotiables just to win football games.
Yep.
But as we deliver on these non-negotiables and we win a ton of football games, well, now we're in a position to win championships and doing it in a way that's meaningful and of substance that we can all be really proud
And I believe you're going to do it.
Thank you, brother.
So I want to highlight what he just said. In chaos, there's opportunity. And, listen, life is nothing else but a lot of chaos.
Amen.
And there's opportunity in that. And you can either be weighed down by that as a burden, or you can embrace it as an opportunity. And look, there's going to be chaos anyway.
Yep.
So you might as well embrace it.
Amen.
So what do you think, leadership can be lonely? And I don't know if people could fully understand that until you are in that position where everybody's looking at you. What do you think is your biggest challenge as a leader?
Gosh, it's really two things, Brian. You're right. Matt Entz used to tell me. He didn't tell me. I think I observed Matt more than anything. Of like, gosh, it is lonely when you move into that leadership role. And I think I was unfair to Matt. I was like, well, Matt, then just come over to the house. But you just don't understand some some of the burden that comes with that role.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, Brian, something that, God has challenged me with is like the days that it's felt like a burden, he's been like, David, you prayed for this burden. Like, be grateful for this burden. You prayed for this opportunity. But my biggest challenge is right now are, controlling my calendar. A good friend once told me either you control your calendar or your calendar controls you.
Yeah.
And I'm learning and growing through that. And then I need to do a better job of being intentional. I have so many incredible people that I've been blessed that have come into my life and Kristen's life, but being more intentional about carving out time in that calendar for those people that I know they're gonna tell me the truth. And I have a lot of those people that I get to work with every day.
Yep.
And even our players, the relationship I have with our players, the honest dialogue we have back and forth. But who are the people in my life that'll tell me the truth, that'll challenge me, that'll hold me accountable, that will maybe bring some clarity to some things I'm struggling with? And I need to do a better job, Brian, of carving out those times for those people that hopefully I'm able to pour into their lives, but they're also pouring into me and making me better.
Well, thanks for carving out some time on your calendar for us.
Oh, man, this is great.
I appreciate that. Means a lot. So you brought up Kristen a lot. And I think it's an appropriate time. I mean, and I think that's coming very naturally for you because you realize, like, no, there's sacrifice from your wife, your family, your kids. What role has she played? What role has Kristen played from your growth as a leader?
Yeah. I mean, she's my best friend.
Yeah.
Kristen Braun is always going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The book I read about a year ago that pointed out truth is kind, and that's how Kristen Braun is kind to me. She tells me the truth, but she's always got my back. And she has sacrificed a lot. Prior to kids arriving, prior to us getting married, she was a strength and conditioning coach at Colorado Mesa University Division II school in her hometown, crushing it professionally, loving what she did.
Yep.
And then we get married, and she signed up for us as a family to do this coaching thing. And then, kids come along, and I'm just telling you, Brian, that woman is, she's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
She started her own company.
Mm-hmm.
She continues to run that company to this day while being a wonderful mother to our 3 kids. She's always got my back. And, we this past Sunday on Easter, and I shared this with the team, this is just her heart, who she is. The one thing she misses it about being, our family being her role as a coordinator, as a position coach, is some of those like incredible relationships you form with that smaller group.
Right.
And the opportunity to, it used to be our Easter tradition that whether guys celebrated Easter or not, on that Sunday, if they didn't have a place to eat, like we were having brunch at the Braun house.
Yep.
And like the opportunity for having people within our home and just those relationships, and the relationships she formed with the guys that we've been able to coach, that's where our heart is. And that's one of the many things that makes her so special. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without her.
Yep. Well, shout out to Kristen, and I can't wait to meet Kristen, hopefully this fall, if not sooner.
Darn right.
So if you were to give some advice to some young leaders today, what would it be?
It'd be the same thing that I lead, off our leadership council stuff with our incredible men in this program that are great leaders. But, I think the foundational piece that young leaders need to understand is, number one, if you want a foundation to like really be able to stand firm on as you go lead, it starts with building credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way that you show up every day with that,
you better walk the walk.
100%. And the second that credibility is fractured, your foundation of leadership is fractured. And the second piece of that foundation, in my opinion, is authenticity. Too often as leaders, we look at it, this is a mistake I made as a young coach. I had so much respect for Matt Entz. So I was like, well, I need to coach just like Matt coaches.
Right.
But that wasn't me.
Yep.
You know, like the authenticity part, the most effective, the most influential leaders, they're authentic, they're genuine, they're true to themselves.
Yep.
And the last piece in all this, because if you want to set me off on a tangent, use the phrase, well, Coach, I lead by example, or Dave, I lead by example. No. You're simply building your credibility by operating that way. That's not leading. Like, leading is a contact sport. Leadership requires action. You're going to have to step outside your comfort zone.
Preach.
And, you know, like those are the three things I'd leave with any young leader. It starts with credibility and authenticity, and it requires action.
Yeah.
It's a contact sport. You got to move.
Yep. Well, and I want to highlight the authenticity part of that, especially in today's world. We need more of it. We need more of it. And I think we need to be willing to step into being vulnerable. Yeah. And I think all of us are so afraid, whether you're a football coach or whatever you do, we're so afraid to be authentic. And, you know, at the end of the day, why not? Because they're going to find out. Yep. They're going to find out anyway.
No doubt.
And none of us are perfect. And I think by being authentic and being vulnerable, you know, and expressing and being honest about your weaknesses, I think builds credibility.
No, 100%.
Yep.
100%.
Like I'm good at this, but I'm not real good at that. And to be honest with you, I need you to help me.
Yes.
I need you to help me, and I need you to be my accountability partner. So we're going to transition a little bit into another set of questions around purpose. How would you define purpose?
Yeah, you know, the way that I would define purpose is, you know, finding your path that is, you know, about things that are bigger than self. You know, it's things of substance. It's things that last. It's leaving a legacy. And ultimately, you know, for me as a man of faith, as a follower of Jesus Christ, it's about being aligned, you know, of finding alignment of what God wants for my life. And, you know, I know I've grown tremendously, Brian, as a man when I ultimately recognized that, you know, I only answer to one.
Yep.
And it's him. And I hope that answers your question.
I think that answers it pretty well.
Thank you, brother.
That's perfect. So what are you currently working on as a leader, as a purpose-driven leader? What are some things you're focusing on right now that you know you need to get better at?
You know, for me, I think something I'll always struggle with, and I'll have to be conscious of it, is I'm so connections-based. I'm so relationship-based. I'm naturally a people pleaser by nature.
Yep.
And you can't live in that space as a leader.
Yep.
You can't. And that's something I have to constantly self-check myself on. And, you know, the other component of that, you know, coming back to leadership and the purpose is, you know, again, getting back to being aligned of like, God, what's most important? What's important now? What do you want me focused on now? Because I can fall into the trap of wanting to do all things, wanting to please everybody.
Yep.
And ultimately, not everything in your life can be a priority. How am I delivering on being, you know, a bold father in my faith? How am I, you know, showing up as a loving husband? How am I showing up as a guiding father? How am I truly showing up as a servant leader for the young men that I get to coach? And at times, Brian, feeling like I'm not doing any of them well.
Yep.
Because I'm.
Yep.
And those are the things that I think I'm focused on: celebrating the wins, being honest on the areas that I need to improve, and then also doing a better job of prioritizing like what is important right now.
Yeah. Well, I want you all to recognize the order of which he said that: faith, husband, children, team. And that's something I've been really working on myself, and I'm failing from time to time. But I do believe it's got to be in that order. And I want you to also notice he said husband before children. And I think we get that mixed up sometimes, where the children become the center of our lives. And I think you can't be the best parent unless you've got that solid relationship with your spouse, and that comes first.
Amen. And the thing I'll be really honest with you and the audience about is, please don't take that as that I'm executing in that order. You know,
That's what I'm saying.
Consistently,
That's what I'm
brother.
saying.
Like there are so many days that, you know, I look back, I'm like, you know, I just feel like I'm failing as a father, or I'm dropping the ball as a husband, or, you know, do I do a good job if we do get, you know, we were able to spend a week in Florida, and you feel like, man, I know it's spring break and our guys are on break too, but these are the 17 things I could be doing at work. And it'll always be a wrestling match, but I know I can get better.
There's no doubt. And I think step one is consciousness about it and being intentional about it. And first of all, knowing the order so that you have always something to come back to kind of measure yourself against. So this is a pretty deep one. As you look at the human race, what do you think our bottom line should be? Because, and I ask this question to every person I interview, and where this comes from is like when, I don't know if since I've been alive, I've heard any leader, especially our world leaders, talk about where we want to be 100 years from now, 250 years from now, 500 years from now. And maybe that just is a product of our human brokenness.
Hey, check this out. I'm in my happy place. I'm sitting on my comfy 10-tree blanket. I've got my Stanley cooler filled with tasty beverages. I've got my speaker ready to listen to my favorite podcast, Beyond the Bottom Line by Buku Branded. And I'm all lit up and ready for a party with my amazing 2-in-1 lantern, which helps me to read one of my favorite books. Did I tell you that 100% of our net profits go to literacy organizations in America? Make your brand memorable and make an impact on literacy in America. So help your employees, customers, and prospective customers get to their happy place through bukubranded.com.
Where do you think what do you think our bottom line is, people, not just here in this country, but on this planet? You know, it's kind of really front and center right now, as I've been seeing pictures from Artemis, the moon first, and Earth, and how small Earth is, and how peaceful it looks from very far away. I've been contemplating this a lot more, but what say you?
I would say, you know, it's leading with love, leading with love in our lives, and you know, and I know that can sound super like, oh,
Correct.
that's cliche, Dave,
Right.
but like no, hold on, like if that is our posture and that's what we lead with, so many of the issues, and there's also an acknowledgement that we're broken, the world is broken. We're not capable of fixing it all, but man, if we can lead from a posture of love and also understand, you know, a book that absolutely transformed my perspective in my life 5 years ago talked about disruptive honesty and fierce intentionality. Like if I truly love you, and this is where Kristen Braun's amazing. If I truly love you, loving you isn't going to just be, hey, you know what, you're the best. It's all okay. you just find, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to
Yes.
speak life into you. I'm going to lead with
Yes.
love, and I'm not going to be fearful of your reaction because I love you so much. I'm willing to lean into that, knowing
Yes.
that regardless of your reaction, it came from a loving heart
Correct.
posture. Our public servants, our politicians, our leaders, people that run businesses, like, are we truly in those roles to serve people and lead with love, or are we in those positions out of self-interest? And I have to ask myself the same question with the position I've been so fortunate to be in is, am I leading this program from a posture of love and service and serving our student athletes, or am I just leading from a place of self-interest?
Yeah, and that is, I think that's a juxtaposition that, might not at first glance make sense. Like, so you're the leader, people should be serving you. And I know one thing I've learned is that the best way to be a leader is to serve. Amen. And talk about credibility, that's one way to get it, is to act out of a servanthood mindset. And so great stuff. So what are I also want to note, Coach Braun has brought up books and reading a couple of times, so it might just be important, just a little bit. What are you currently reading?
I'm currently just started How Champions Think by Bob Rotella.
Oh, Bob Rotella.
And
legend.
A friend of mine on a trip mentioned it. We talked about it. It was nice enough. There was a book waiting for me 3 days later, and just got into it. But the early stages of the book, Bob's talking about learning to be optimistic, which I'm really fired up to continue to dive in.
Well, that's belief.
Yep.
I'm an over believer, man. That is good, rich stuff. What are some of the books you've read that have helped you look at your bottom line differently?
Yeah, a book that's honestly been really impactful on me, and it's had tremendous impact on this program, to be honest with you, because I use it as kind of a guide for our leadership council. But it's a book called The Program, written by a former Special Forces.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to mispronounce his name. I apologize. So I'm not even going to try. But the program and what Eric has done with not only that book, but what they do in terms of coming out and serving football programs, really provided just such a clear line of what it looks like to put together as a program your objectives, what it looks like to put together your goals, what it looks like to surround your team and your staff with the right people, what it looks like to be a great teammate and lean into some of that discomfort. Truth is Kind comes from the program. I mean, and there's so much enlightening stuff. And then, another book that honestly, God put in my life at the right time for the right reasons. It's called Beautiful Outlaw.
Beautiful Outlaw.
By John Eldridge. And what John does such a good job of in that book is he's when he says beautiful outlaw, he's talking about Jesus. And the way that he, in today's world, Jesus can be portrayed, whether it be in stained glass or in pictures, as this
yes,
timid, weak.
Yes.
No, Jesus was an outlaw.
In the best sense.
In the best sense.
Yep.
And he was playful, and he was disruptively honest, and he was fiercely intentional, and he ultimately, the reality is, the people that put him to death were the religious elite at the time. Like,
correct.
We so many times get my relationship with religion at the time,
Yep.
was broken, and what I realized is I was worried about the wrong things.
Yep.
My relationship with Jesus is all that mattered.
Yep.
Not my relationship with
Correct.
people at church.
Correct. And I think that's where we get a little caught up in today's world is, you hear people say, well, I'm not religious. Yep. Me neither.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm about relationship with God and
Amen.
my creator. And there's a big difference between religion, because we created religion.
Yes.
And it's about relationship.
100%.
And so that's beautiful. So if you were to write a book, what would it be about? and you're going to have to answer this question. What would it be about, and what would be the title?
This is a tough one. I don't know if anyone wants me ever writing a book, but
Well, we're going to dream. We're dreaming here.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I guess I would title it the Great Surprise.
That's a good title. The Great Surprise, coming out soon to a bookstore near you.
But it just came to me, as you asked the question. But a moment in my life that was so transformational, Brian. It was January of 2020. We had just it was our first year at North Dakota State as a family. We had just gotten done as a program at NDSU of going on this amazing run.
Yep.
We go 16-0. We win
Yep.
a national championship. We do it with great people
Yep.
and great coaches. And the reality around my competitive background as an athlete and as a coach was I'd been chasing that my whole life. If I could just win a state championship in high
Yep.
school, I'd be happy. I get to win on a state, and we got
Yep.
chances to go on national championship
Yep.
runs. If I could just win a national championship, I'd be happy.
Yep.
And I get into coaching, and it's chasing the same thing, a dream of winning a national championship. And we accomplished that.
And then?
And then, 4 days after the national championship game, I'm at home, working down in our basement and reflecting, and felt empty. And I'm like, but why? I have this beautiful family, an amazing wife.
Yep.
I work with great people. We just won a national championship.
Yeah, what else do I need?
Correct. And the clarity that was provided in that moment comes back to those non-negotiables of, yes, winning is important, and the pursuit of success on the field is important. Yes, we're here to win championships, but it's all for naught. You can go win 20 national championships, be revered as the best player to ever
Yep.
play the game or the best coach to ever coach the game,
Yep.
and it's all empty and hollow
Yep.
if you're not rooted in the right things and the right purpose.
Correct.
And I was so that was a low point. I don't want to say extreme low. I don't want to be over dramatic, but that was such a surprise to me to feel so low when I felt like I
Yep.
should be.
Yep. Well, I was recently asked to be on a panel at the University of Illinois, and there were some really stellar people on this panel. I have no idea why I was on it. And it was a room full of 200 juniors and seniors. The world's in front of them. We were talking a lot of business, and I was a little bit later in the day, and I feel like God tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You need to take the opportunity to feed these young folks with a little bit something different." And that was that if you're all going to go on to do great things and you've got these incredible aspirations, but if it's not rooted in purpose, you will have hard times. And what's going to be your anchor through those hard times? What's going to be your anchor during the great times? That's what I really appreciate about Scotty Scheffler. And he does not define himself, though he's one of the fiercest competitors there is. He is not defined as a golfer.
Yeah.
And man, I just respect the heck out of that, and the fact that he's willing to say that, because it's true. This life will take everything from us. We will die with nothing. Our family, our friends, our money, our homes, everything. And I don't know how people do it without that foundation of purpose. So here's our last question.
I got to tell you that's why you were in that room. Not to mention all the things that you've accomplished, Brian, and continue to accomplish. But that's why you were in that room, brother, because that room needed to hear exactly that.
Thank you. But we're all put in these rooms with panels and these talking heads, and though I respect them all and they all had some really incredible things to say, somebody's going to give you a mic we've all heard people talk and preach and whatever. If somebody's not going to say something that makes you uncomfortable, that's transformational, that makes you think differently or want to do something differently, then it's kind of a waste of time.
Yep.
Because we've all heard the platitudes, you know. And what's been fun about that is that I was seated at a table, and I think we had lunch, and so I'm there with 9 other college students, and they're probably thinking I'm something I'm not, and they're all kind of quiet. And I was like, "Yo, let's have some real conversation here." And we, and I've since connected with a bunch of them afterwards, and these are kids I want to help, because a lot of people, I'd be nothing without a lot of people.
Yep.
And people have held out their hand for me, been there for me, motivated me, been shoulders to cry on, encouraged me, held me accountable. And we need that.
Yep.
We need that. So here's the last question. How would you define your ultimate bottom line?
My ultimate bottom line, and I hope there can only be one. Is ultimately walking a walk that people can say that man boldly followed his faith and pursued Jesus. And I don't want that to sound cliche. I've wrestled with. Yep. We already talked about it. Wrestled with religion and shame, and
yep.
Not wanting to. You say one thing, David, but we're all
yes.
broken, and we all have our
yes.
struggles. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, my bottom line is that my wife, my boys, those that knew me, said he boldly and courageously walked a walk that was in alignment with his faith.
Amen. Well, this has been absolutely incredible. I'm grateful for you as a leader, as a friend. I hope you consider me a friend, a teammate, here for you for whatever. We're all just, you hold a very big coveted job. And I'm sure people put you on a pedestal. But we're all just human.
Amen.
And we need each other.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. We at Northwestern are going to win the Big Ten championship.
Let's go.
So let's go. I'm ready to play. Put me in, coach.
Let's go.
All right?
Appreciate you,
All
Brian.
right.
Thank you.